Hello, I'm Simon Whistler. You're watching TopTenzNet, and in the video today, the top 10 mind-bogglingly terrible decisions that were made by schools. There's a lot of pressure on schools these days, both to perform academically and mold their students into productive members of society. Given that most kids are, well, terrible, schools can be given a lot of leeway when it comes to making mistakes. Then you have these 10 schools which couldn't have made worse decisions if they literally tried. Number 10. School lets kid dress up as Hitler while students from a Jewish school are visiting. Unless you're a prominent YouTuber trying to be an edgy douche lord, or someone in the comment section of an article about politics, there aren't many reasons to ever invoke the image of the noted arsehat Adolf Hitler. Apparently, nobody told the people in charge of Alice Springs St. Philip's College in the UK this when a student asked them if he could dress up like the Nazi leader for an event celebrating books and history, and they said, well, sure, why not? Along with letting the unnamed child walk around dressed like the architect of the Holocaust, the school also gave him an award for best costume and let him lead a parade displaying all the costumes that people wore that day. The parade, it should be mentioned, was held in front of guests from a Jewish school who were shockingly okay with seeing a child applauded for dressing like the man who once tried to exterminate their entire race. Number 9. School tries to ban Harry Potter for being about magic and allows students to read the Chronicles of Narnia series. According to figures gleaned from the list of controversial books, entries from the Harry Potter series are consistently the most challenged books in public school libraries. While the reasoning given by parents tends to vary, the most common is that the series promotes witchcraft and the occult, which is kind of bad, we guess. For example, in the year 2000, a British school banned the series from classrooms for not fitting with the ethos of the Church of England, which partially funded the school and its curriculum. This, on its own, would be okay because schools can set whatever rules they like for students. However, the school's reasoning kind of fell flat when the head revealed that the students who weren't allowed to read Harry Potter had also studied The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. When asked how they could justify banning one book about wizards and magic but not the other, the school explained that the latter book was okay because it shows an evil witch who is overcome by the powers of good. You know, because nothing like that ever happens in the Harry Potter series. Number 8. High school gives MacBook to every student and spies on them. High school is already stressful enough with the constant pressure from peers, friends, and family to do well academically, socialize with the right people, and be up to date on the latest memes. One high school in Pennsylvania decided to help students with at least one of these things by issuing every single one of them with a brand spanking new MacBook. This was courtesy of a government scheme to ensure that no child would be left behind when it came to memes. What the school didn't tell the students is that they could remotely activate the webcams of every laptop issued whenever they felt like it. This is something students weren't aware of until a kid named Blake Robbins suddenly found himself being punished for improper behavior in his home, a euphemism we can all see through for what it almost certainly meant. The problem was, the evidence Robbins' high school presented as proof of his improper behavior was a photo surreptitiously taken with his laptop's webcam without his permission. This is something apparently nobody working for the school saw either as a big deal or something that could result in them having their butt sued off. Unsurprisingly, Robbins' family and every parent of a kid at the school didn't take too kindly to learning that some guy could watch their kids undress remotely and promptly sued the ever-loving crap out of that school. Number 7. School suspends kid for wearing a Pepsi shirt on Coke Day. Imagine going to school one day and being told you've got to go home because your school was worried that your shirt would offend the representative from Coca-Cola. This isn't a scenario from an American reboot of V for Vendetta or a heavy-handed piece of propaganda about the perils of capitalism, but an actual thing that happened to a 19-year-old named Michael Cameron in 1998 at a school in Georgia. Cameron was sent home by a school representative on a school day celebrating everything Coca-Cola for wearing, according to a contemporary report, a blue and white shirt with a small Pepsi logo on it. The school defended their decision by saying that it was disruptive and could potentially offend a visiting Coca-Cola rep who was at the school. As for why the school cared, that's because said rep was potentially going to award the school $10,000 and Cameron's prank potentially ruined it for them. Along with bringing up multiple uncomfortable questions about why a school was placing the feelings of a monolithic corporation before the education of its students, the whole ordeal made the school look bad because nobody from Coke actually cared. That aforementioned representative who the school was desperately trying to appease went on record saying that it was no big deal, while a representative from Pepsi commended Cameron on his flawless fashion choice and promised him a lifetime supply of Pepsi-branded shirts. Number 6. School suspends South African student for trying to have himself nominated for a Distinguished African American Student Award. In 2004, an Omaha student named Trevor Richards was summarily suspended when posters of him giving a huge thumbs up were found plastered all over his school on Martin Luther King Day. The posters were asking students to vote for him as the school's Distinguished African American Student of the Year. The crux of Richards' campaign was that as he was the only student in the entire school from Africa, he was the only person who technically classified as African American, and so he should get the award by default, which, if we're honest, is actually pretty flawless logic. The school, however, didn't agree, primarily because Richards was white. But it did not change the fact that he was, in fact, African American. The school, not wanting to admit that it didn't realize white people could come from Africa, quietly shifted the blame to black students, insisting that Richard had offended an unspecified number of them. Because nothing says we appreciate and value the opinions of our black students like blaming them for your own incompetence. Number 5. School shuts down because of the first verse of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme song. Teachers and educators are in a fairly unique position, culturally speaking, in that they have to be up to date on all the latest fads, media, and slang, even if they don't care about it, just so that they can be sure the kids in their classes aren't secretly talking about drugs or something. This makes it kind of hilarious then that a school was once locked down like Fort Knox being attacked by a bunch of Transformers when a member of staff failed to recognize the opening verse to the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air's theme song. The school, which is located in Ambridge, Pennsylvania, locked down while the offending student was tracked down by the police and grilled about whether he was going to blow up his school because someone misheard him singing the theme song as his outgoing voicemail message and thought he was threatening to shoot up a school when he was actually talking about shooting some b-ball. The poor student then had to explain to the police what the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was while they listened carefully to both his voicemail and the theme song to ensure they were the same thing. Number 4. A school once banned To Kill a Mockingbird and got dunked on by Harper Lee. To Kill a Mockingbird is rightfully considered one of the singular most important books ever written, so much so that academics once claimed every adult should read it at least once, and libraries say it's more important culturally than the Bible. Despite the whole point of the book being that you shouldn't judge a man by the color of his skin, countless busybodies have tried to have the book banned from schools based purely on the fact that it uses the N-word. While this technically isn't judging a book by its cover, it's about as close as you can get without it bursting into flames due to irony. On one such occasion, a school in Virginia tried to ban the book in 1966, citing that it was immoral due to the fact that the book contains rape as a plot device. This was a criticism that it turns out was simply a cover for a far more depressing, yet predictable reason for not wanting the book taught in schools, that a white character expresses that they're attracted to a black one. This so annoyed the notoriously reclusive author of the book, Harper Lee, that she sent $10 to the school board, along with a letter advising them that they use it to enroll the first grade to learn basic English comprehension. Mysteriously, after being called out by one of America's finest living authors, the school board backed the hell down and then claimed that they'd never tried to single out the book at all. This, of course, solved the problem forever, until one of the schools in the same state did exactly the same thing 50 years later and banned the book anyway. Number 3. School suspends boy for having Pop-Tart shaped like a gun. Guns in schools are a fairly controversial topic, with there generally being two, if you'll excuse the pun, schools of thought. On the one side, you have people who think that children who aren't allowed to join the military, drink, or watch pornography because they're emotionally immature should be able to carry a handgun. On the other, you have people who take a zero-tolerance approach. Oh, and when we say zero tolerance, we really mean it. Just ask the young boy from Anne Arundel County in Maryland who was suspended in 2013 for biting his Pop-Tart into the shape of a gun and using it to pretend to shoot other students. The school, seemingly just to rub it in, then tried to have the boy's school record permanently amended to say that he threatened violence against others. On the one hand, you can see why some people would feel uncomfortable about this and feel the need to make a big deal about it, but on the other hand, the boy in question, he was 7 years old. People worry about stuff they do as a dumb teenager following them around for the rest of their life. Imagine having your entire school career ruined because of something you did when you still thought cotton candy was made from girl clouds. Number 2. School lets asthmatic boy die because he wasn't allowed to carry around his inhaler. Being asthmatic sucks, and for the most part, most educational institutions understand that kids suffering from the condition need to be given special considerations. A Straffordville school in Ontario, it seems, was not one of those institutions when they let a 12-year-old boy under their care die because his inhaler was being kept in a safe that he wasn't allowed immediate access to. According to the boy's mother, Sandra Gibbons, her son Andrew was repeatedly reprimanded by school staff for carrying a spare inhaler on his person during his time at the school, and she would constantly have to deal with angry phone calls from staff asking why her son was carrying the medicine he needed to breathe in his pocket. This was something that was apparently against school policy, a policy we should add that the school was never able to properly defend, because there's not really any way you can frame yourself as the good guy when you're literally dangling inhalers just out of the reach of kids struggling to breathe. Hell, that's the kind of thing that school bullies do, and even they would hand it over when the kid starts having an asthma attack. Number 1. High school teacher makes kids wear cone of shame. Nothing crushes self-esteem more thoroughly than a stint at high school, and teachers are supposed to try and stop that from happening by, not making them wear a device specifically created to humiliate them in front of their peers. This is a sentiment a former Florida teacher named Lori Bailey Cutcomb would have probably called kind of gay before pushing it down a flight of stairs while a Letterman jacket materialized onto her body. We say this because in 2012, Bailey Cutcomb was caught making teenage students wear a cone around their heads called the cone of shame for misbehaving. This was a punishment so archaic and ridiculous, she literally stole it from a Pixar movie. Upon being caught elbow-dropping teenagers' self-esteem from orbit, Bailey Cutcomb told everyone it was just a joke because it's just a prank, bro. Always works when defending objectively awful behavior. Parents and the school board weren't convinced and quickly removed her from the classroom, missing a prime opportunity to make Bailey Cutcomb wear the cone herself for an entire year to prove that it wasn't a big deal. So I really hope you found that video interesting. If you did, please do hit that thumbs up button below and do not forget to subscribe. We've got brand new videos just like this every day of the week. Also over there on the right, a couple of other videos that you might enjoy if you've enjoyed this one, and thank you for watching.